Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Dice Check. As always, Warmer and
Cole. Hey guys, I'm Jim.
It's a summer's day in Norway right now.
Yeah.
Which, hence the...
Nothing like a good southern winter. It was 80 degrees last week.
Yeah, that's no lie. And it was literally snowing a couple days ago. Today we're going to be talking about a quite touchy subject, and that is drama at the table.
Yeah, this both entails both in the table and outside of the game. For sometimes this stuff kind of goes both ways. So we're going to break it down a little bit and see what y'all think. So sit back and roll initiative because we're about to get into it. Sit back and roll initiative because we're about to get into it. Alright, so, player drama. Where should we begin?
Well, first of all, when you're playing a game that involves a bunch of people, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Everybody has a different personality, and it is mathematically guaranteed that somebody's going to disagree with something.
I play with all my closest friends, and we still argue. So.
Yes.
So the chance of argument goes up for more people, and I'd also say to a degree, which is completely an unknown mathematical statistic, for strangers too. Like strangers probably have, I would say, an increased chance of probably arguing. But that's just my thoughts. As for the basics, really and truly, it's understanding the player's typing, and I say that to sound very categorical, but. What I mean by that is every player has a norm. There have been lists of made of player types in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Colville updated his own list of different categories and whatnot.
Yeah. And
nobody's one exactly, but they all have traits of one. Yeah. If you want to put it. A lot of times, a lot of players conflict with the person that can be categorized as the tactician. Yeah. Tactician is the guy who's like, oh no, that's not the best we could do. Fuck that. Fuck the story. Let's put you right here, and we'll grab the other person's mini for them, and start putting it. Yeah. And that causes problems for people. Yeah. So understanding the different types of players as the DM will help you get around that, because allow you to tailor your experience so that everybody's having their own happiness without having to collide. Because that's where it usually comes from. Is somebody's not happy with somebody else's happiness. Yeah. And bam.
What would you say is one of the better ways, in your opinion, to handle table drama?
Bar none. The simplest way, and I've talked about this in a previous video, the simplest way is to let everybody know what they're getting into beforehand. Mm-hmm. Nothing starts drama and starts problems faster than expectations not being met. Yes. Right? That is the fastest way. And in D&D, there's so many different ways to play D&D, and not just in the sense of game type like fantasy and whatnot, but somebody might going in thinking it's going to be a very fun, serious game, like a very dramatic story. Yeah. And it's all dick jokes and, stuff like that. Their expectations are going to be met. They're going to be kind of disappointed, and they might have a problem with it. So it's always best to go into and say, guys, this is what I plan to do. Is everybody cool with this? And talk. Communication is key in this world. Yes. Here's a quote.
In my personal opinion, I usually like to stick to two different ways of dealing with the drama at the table, and the first way is actually technically there's three ways that I personally like to deal with drama, and one of them being the diplomatic approach, give a little bit, take a little bit, and
compromise and work something.
Yeah, compromise where you can, but where you can't, don't. Mm-hmm.
And typically the DM is the best compromiser because they have the most power to give, I should say.
Which actually segues right into my next point, which is you could do basically the Renegade option, go well, I'm God, so if you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Be warned, this can create more issues.
Yeah. So that's why it's called the Renegade option.
Yeah. So be careful with this one. Sometimes you do have to put the foot down if people are just not cooperating or they refuse and whatnot. But usually there's a communication factor with that. Like usually they're mad about something or there's something going on in their own lives.
Sometimes like something from real life actually like bleeds over.
So,
it happens.
So you have to be really empathetic, and that's one of the jobs as a DM is understanding.
Right.
So you have to be really empathetic if you're going to be the one who jumps in.
And my last point that I want to make is you could go full neutral like in the situation and let the players decide for themselves, because at the end of the day, they're going to decide things for themselves anyway. So, in my personal opinion, sometimes it's best to just let the DM like just step back and let the fire put itself out.
I would agree. The DM should be called in when nothing else is working.
Yeah,
I believe. Like, especially if the players are all adults, or I'd say adults, probably over 18. That's when they should be in charge of handling most of their own issues.
Yeah.
It's when either they refuse to communicate, which does happen. People don't want to hurt each other's feelings, so they just talk about each other when nobody's around. Or diplomacy is not working. Like people are refusing, people are just not stopping. That's when the DM, I feel, needs to step in. There is a little asterisk with this. The DM, I feel, should step in if they're the oldest in the group of kids. As in, like, if the adult is the DM and for a bunch of kids, probably best if they at least are worked as an arbitrator, just kind of watch and see. It probably works best, but that's just my opinion.
And it's just like I was saying earlier, is that in a lot of cases like people are gonna solve the problems like in their own way, and 9 times out of 10, whenever you have like a group of one type of player, like let's say like you were saying earlier, that you have like a whole bunch of players, they're all like yeah, let's just have fun and like let's just fuck off and whatever, and then like you have a player that's more like rules lawyery, and I talked to you about this yesterday, and like
just a quick definition: rules lawyer is the person who refuses to throw away the rules. They will always go to the rules before their own, the rule of fool and whatnot.
Very, very, very serious players and all this.
Which is perfectly fine. In some cases, that can be very fun if you get a good one.
Yeah, like I said, like I was trying to say, is that it's fine, like being the kind of player that you want to be, but at the end of the day, whenever you have a new player, like when you have like a player like an odd one out in that situation, chances are, if they don't like how it's going to go, they're going to leave on their own anyway.
Yeah. But you don't want that. You don't want people leaving unless that's the last option. Okay, so
of course you don't want players to leave unless
So you got to talk to them. Like just figure it out. It's like, hey man, we understand where you're coming from, but you can't mess with other people's minis. That's not fair. That's you taking their fun. And you just talk about it and you communicate. A lot of people don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, oh, my bad. I thought that was cool. I didn't know. So, and problem solved.
Yeah.
I'd say, in fact, a surprising amount of times they're unaware of their own actions. So calling them out on it as the DM usually fixes that. Or if it doesn't fix it, it'll make them aware of it to the point where they'll try to contain themselves, which is perfect. And if they do that, then there's no point in kicking them out. They're trying. There's
a really good situation that Matt Colville was bringing up whenever whenever he was running his D&D group, well, one of his D&D groups, that he had 2 players that went to jail, and a guard comes in and one player turns into like a fly or something like that, and the other player antagonizes the guard, and the guard just straight up kills him. And obviously this not only angered the player that got killed, but also angered the player that turned into a fly.
Yeah.
To the point where he said okay, I fly towards the guard and she kills me. And in that situation, it's like I was saying earlier, that person is gonna leave regardless. But in situations you want to at least talk it out whenever you have a situation like that.
I believe that person ended up leaving because they talked it out. I remember, right?
Yeah, like he was saying he was like, I'm not mad. I just want to understand what just happened.
Yeah, and they talked it out, and everything was cool. And that happens all the time.
At the end of the day, they are still your friends.
Yeah. Or if they're not your friends, at the end of the day, they are still people. You can't just throw them away and throw them out. They're people. We all have our own emotions, and people are very hard to understand and put in a bottle, which is why you really do have to talk, because it's very hard to just, rule number 7 for this person, goodbye. No. You're going to have to talk to it. It's very ad hoc. It's very case by case.
Yeah.
And I mean case by case, even the same person every single time needs to be treated differently. That's the best way you're going to do it. What do you think about DM drama?
Like between 2 different DMs?
No, I'm talking about just like a DM and a player going at it.
In that situation, I feel that, and I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I feel that it depends on like how the situation plays out. Like if it's one of those situations where the player is constantly antagonizing the DM, saying to like, oh, I want this, like I'm gonna do this. In that particular case, depending on like how like the worse it is, I would personally go with the Renegade approach and be like, all right, you can try that. I'm not gonna tell you no, but you can try that. You're gonna die, but you can try.
That's not the Renegade approach. That's the you can certainly try approach.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the I'm God thing, you know.
I believe that at the end of the day, the DM has the final say.
Yeah,
but
the DM should always have the final say.
There is that still that little asterisk where there are cases of like there's no such thing as you being a DM and you're automatically right.
Yeah.
You can be wrong, but you do have the final say. The problem with the DM's role though is that his final say shouldn't be always against the players.
Yeah.
All right. The final say, in fact, I would say more often than not, the final say should be to help the players. Even if they don't realize it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's very rare that in my own games that I'll make a call that the players don't like that also like hurts them a lot.
Yeah.
At least to my knowledge. Like I typically try and always work with the players as best as I can when it comes to that. And I'll make a call just because they can't agree. So it's like, all right, fine. This happens and stuff like that. But the DM should have to really take their own ego out of the game.
Yeah.
Which is very tough, especially when it's your sandbox.
Yeah. It just makes me think of a Big, wherever he was all like, "Did you forget that I am God?"
To wrap up this point, I feel like I actually need to bring up COVID one more time. A phrase that's really stuck. Yeah, that really stuck from Matt Colville's like videos and whatnot. Was the DM needs to be a river to their people.
Yeah.
Which he got from another friend / DM. So just to impart, I guess, with us is, at the end of the day, you're the one responsible, at least to a degree, of your players having fun. And you need to make sure that that's your priority. Because at the end of the day, when your players are having fun, you did a good job, and you should have fun too.
There's another great quote that I've heard. Doesn't really pertain to D&D, but it can. It's like the longer that you spend on trying to make an experience worthwhile, the easier it is to play. Like the harder you work on it, the easier it is to play, and vice versa. And
sometimes you just need to mix things up. Like that's another easy fix. If you don't want to just communicate or not, mix things up. Say, all right, well, let's put a pause in this. Johnny, you wanted to run a session, so let's give that a shot, guys. And sometimes the change of scenery is a pretty nice palate cleanser to where everybody can kind of just reset to zero. Kind of like taking a vacation. And that's another good trick. So, yeah.
Going on a side quest.
Yeah, side quest.
But anyway, I mean, that's about all I needed to say.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. We did touch a lot on this when we interviewed Jacob and Natalie.
Yes.
So, but we wanted to catch the dirty side of the communications around the table.
Yeah.
So, but everybody has different situations with this, and even this video is not going to solve everything. It's not a fixer. It's not a blanket statement. Basically, at the end of the day is, and I say this like a broken record, communication is key. I'm saying that from not only my own experiences, but as a person who's majoring in communications in college. Communication is a lot of the fixing when it comes to this, to a degree. It doesn't have to be screaming, yelling. It doesn't have to be, business meetings. but just talking to each other, trying to figure out what they're thinking, what they're getting at.
Yeah.
Usually, you can at least come to some form of understanding,
Mhm.
and understanding leads to peace. So, enough of our philosophical ranting.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this video. Wow, I can't talk. I'm blaming the cold.
It's very early too. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning for us.
It's fine. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and once again, we'll see you next time. Have a day by me, and Morvar, take us home.